Hi, my name is Bryan Hoddle. I was the 2004 head coach for the United States Paralympic team. I've also coached at the high school level for the last 28 years. And today we're here to talk about high jump made simple. To help me out today in the high jump, we have Jenny Brogdon, who is training for the 2012 Olympic trials in the high jump. And so today what we're going to do is we're going to start off with some warm-up drills and some drills that will work well into your high jump training. From there, then we will go over to the high jump and go through the 4 phases of the high jump, along with several drills that you'll be able to use with your athletes. And then finally, we'll end up with some things in the weight room that will help your track and field athletes. So let's go ahead and get going. To start off with high jump made simple, we're going to start off with a dynamic active warm-up. Now, all of you can probably remember back to your metal shop class, and if you remember a piece of wrought iron metal and you needed to move it or bend it, what would you do? Would you try to stretch it to move it? Well, no, you would heat it up and then it would be pliable and you'd be able to make it move. The same thing applies here with the muscle. Instead of stretching the muscle and preparing it, we're going to warm the muscle up. So we're going to start off with the lower leg, and Jenny's going to demonstrate jog on toes straight ahead. Again, we're warming up the foot and the lower leg. Normally we would do this over about a 20 to 30 meter span. Coming back, Jenny's going to go jog on toes in. So she's going to over-exaggerate her toes pointing in and do the same thing. Again, we're warming up the lower leg. Next, Jenny's going to do jog on toes pointed out. Again, our focus continues to be on the foot and the lower leg. The next drill Jenny's going to do are called ankle rolls. And what she's going to do here is roll each ankle 3 times, jog to the middle, roll each ankle 3 times, and jog out. Here again, we're warming up the muscles, the tendons and ligaments down in the foot and ankle area. Foot strength is critically important, and today's shoe has a tendency to shut the foot off where the foot isn't actually working. And so what we're going to do is we're going to work on a drill called pogos to build a little bit of foot strength. Our next drill, we're going to warm up the shoulder girdle. And so Jenny's going to be jogging and she's going to swim arms forward. Next, Jenny's going to jog forward and swim arms backwards. The next drill is called snakes forward. And in this drill, Jenny's going to use about 3 lanes. And this is a really good drill to warm up that soft tissue down in the ankle area. This looks like, snakes forward look like this. The next drill is called knee up, heel up, toe up march. And notice that Jenny will have her toe cocked up in a dorsiflexed position. That will put her gastroc in contraction and so she'll be using her gastroc to close the angle instead of her hamstring. Notice she's in opposition with her arms and her legs, and again, notice she's stepping over the top of the other knee. The next drill is a good drill to warm up the glute to hamstring insertion, and it's called Ashford's backwards. So Jenny will turn around, she will lean over, slightly bend her knees, and quickly just step over her other ankle. She'll go about halfway out, turn and jog. Our next set of drills are skipping drills. And all too often we do a lot of skipping in elementary school, and then we remove it from all of our athletic things that we do. Skipping is a very important motor movement for all athletics and is very, very helpful for the high jump. So here Jenny is going to demonstrate single arm B skips. Notice again that she's in opposition. The next drill in our series of skips is called double arm B skips. Our next drill is continuing our series of skips, and it's called a cross arm B skip. Many of the drills that we're doing are not only warming up the muscles for high jump practice and competition, but they are also mini coordination drills, as high jumping is a coordination event. And so here, Jenny's going to do clap jacks forward halfway. She will turn around and go clap jacks forward, backwards. Notice again, heel up, knee up, toe up. Notice she's stepping over the top of the other knee. The next drill, many of you are familiar with karaoke. In this drill, Jenny's going to be doing a karaoke, but we call it a step across. So you will see her, you will see her right leg step up high across as if she's driving her knee into her opposite armpit, and it looks like this. Notice that little tiny pause in the air. The next drill are called toe plates. And here what Jenny's going to do is feel the portion of her foot where she has the hard plastic and her spikes in, normally when she has a pair of track and field shoes on. That's the part of her foot that she's going to be demonstrating this drill from. These are called toe plates. The next drill are called grouchos, and this is an outstanding drill for the high jump. So Jenny's going to use a dowling stick. She's going to put it behind her neck. She's going to assume a slightly wider than shoulder width stance with her knees bent, and grouchos look like this. In many of your athletes, you will see that they have very little mobility in the hip flexors and the hamstrings and glutes. here's a good warm-up drill for all of those areas. And it's called straight leg skipping. So Jenny's going to assume what we call a zombie position, and she's going to begin to skip kicking high. Straight leg skipping. The next drill is called heels to hamstrings. And I like to do this drill instead of butt kicks so that the athlete is bringing their foot straight up under the buttocks and actually more up to the hamstring. So heels to hamstrings looks like this. The next drill is called heel up backwards. And Jenny will be running backwards, bringing her heels up as high as possible. This is a great drill to warm up the quadriceps. The next drill, Jenny's going to move to one of the white lines, lane lines, and she's going to do what's called step and fall. And it almost looks a little bit like a sobriety test. And what she's going to do is make sure she's in opposition. She's going to bring her back heel to her buttocks. And so here's the way this one looks. Step and fall. The front knee you want to keep a close eye on, as she's doing a great job of keeping her knee behind her toe on the front leg. Notice that her arms are in opposition. She's stepping over the other knee. She's cocking her toe up, moving that skill from one drill to the next. In the next drill, Jenny is going to face us, and she is going to do what are called side slides. She's going to slightly bend her knees, as we never want to lock a joint out. She's going to cross her arms over the top and under as she does the drill. She will never cross her feet. In the next drill, Jenny's going to pretend as if she had a tight leather skirt on. And in this case, she's not going to be able to move her legs very much. And so tight skirt looks like this. In the next drill, we're beginning to prepare the athlete for actual jump practice or competition. And so here, Jenny's going to do something that will fire up her central nervous system. She's going to do what are called tuck jumps. She's going to do 3 tuck jumps, jog to the middle, do 3 tuck jumps, and jog out. Tuck jumps have the heels come up under the buttocks, not flip to the back. So 3 tuck jumps. And again, have the athlete look forward and stay tall. A great drill to warm up your central nervous system. Next, Jenny's going to move through her 3 and 3 warm-up series. So she's going to move back about 10 meters from the cone she's at, and she's going to do 3 flying 30s. Now, for demonstration purposes here, we're about 20 meters apart. She's going to run these at about 75%, and she's going to incorporate all of the skills that we've used throughout the different drills: knee up, heel up, toe up, in opposition, heel up, under butt, etc. So here's the first of her 3 flying 30s. You'll notice that when Jenny did those 3 flying 30s that she deaccelerated slowly and didn't slam the brakes on. She kind of floated out of those. The next thing she's going to do are 3 falling 30s. And here what she's going to do is she's going to determine which is going to be her back leg. And she's going to fold her arms in front of her. And the leg closest to her the arm closest to her body will be her back foot. So what she's going to do here is put that in the back foot. When she falls forward and in this case, her left knee goes over the top of her left toe, she will go. These are called falling 30s. And the final of our 3 and 3 series is 3 standing 30s. And here, Jenny's going to be in an upright position and she's going to give herself a go and just take off. The last in our series of dynamic active warm-up movement is going to be a gallop. And oftentimes, again, like skipping, we leave galloping behind at elementary school, and it's a really important skill to have in high jumping. So Jenny's going to go out and then about halfway switch over and gallop with the other leg. Those are some of the dynamic active warm-up drills that you can use for your high jumpers. What I suggest you do is pull a 10 to 12 out a day and keep good variety in there. It wouldn't be a good idea to do all of those because you're not going to get good quality high jumping out of your high jumpers after all of those drills in one day. The next series we're going to do on a wall, and we call these wall mobility drills. The first one Jenny's going to do is side to side, and when she does these, she's going to keep her belt as if she had a belt buckle facing straight into the fence. She's going to go side to side and do 3 easy and then a 3 a little bit more intense. Notice here that Jenny has pretty good hip mobility. The next in this series are called forward and back. And here what I'd like to cue you on is the fact that when she goes on her back swing, her heel will close to her buttocks, and this will fire her quadricep. So she's going to do 3 easy and then 3 with more intensity. The third in our series are called figure 8s. Again, 3 easy, 3 with more intensity. Hurdles are outstanding devices to not only hurdle, but there's a lot of mobility drills that you can do for the high jump using hurdles. And the first one are called Heelys. And Jenny's going to balance on me. She's going to stay nice and tall. She's going to bring her foot up to the hurdle shaft, and she's going to go over and back with her heel, and over and back is one. And it looks like this. Notice her heel is staying above the hurdle shaft. And by the way, the record all time is a girl who did 364 of those. Okay. The next drill are called footies, and they're a little bit like Heelys, except this time Jenny's foot is going to drop below the hurdle shaft and come over and drop below this side, and over and back will be one. She's going to stay nice and tall. And a really, really good drill to build some strength in the hip flexors of the glutes and the hamstrings. Abductor, adductor, hip flexibility are critically important things that we need to work on in the high jump. So we're going to, again, use a hurdle here and have Jenny do hip circles on the fence. If the athlete begins to fatigue, they will begin to hit their foot on the hurdle shaft. And then Jenny will move to the other side and use the other foot and leg. Great. Okay. Okay, our next set of drills are some skipping with the hurdles, and we're going to start off by scissors straight leg. And you'll notice here we've got some coordination. We went back to some skipping, and we've gone through here some dynamic mobility work. Now Jenny's going to do scissors bent knee. This is a little bit more difficult, and you'll need to make sure that your athlete can get that foot up above that hurdle shaft. The next drill Jenny's going to do, again, is back to skipping, except this time she's going to skip right down the middle of the hurdle shafts. Outstanding. The next drill is called 2 up and 1 back. Notice that Jenny's going up 2 hurdles and back 1 hurdle. Notice that Jenny has really good hip flexibility to be able to bring that first foot straight up and not swing it around a hurdle. So I'm going to send Jenny back, and what I'm going to have her do this time is show you what it'll look like if you have an athlete that's a high jumper and they don't have good hip flexibility. Watch her front leg. Jenny, if you'll show them which will be your front leg. See how she's swinging her leg around the hurdle because she just cannot get her foot up that high. So if you see an athlete that's swinging legs around hurdles from the side, then you know they have some hip mobility issues that you're going to need to get straightened out and worked on. Thank you, Jenny. The next drill is a good drill to develop body awareness. And as we know in the high jump, body awareness is critical. So in this drill, we're going to do what's called walk over backwards. And here Jenny's just rotating, which is a great thing to do. She's getting a little bit of body awareness on both sides of her body. The next drill is called over, over, back, back. So she's going to take a hurdle with the lead leg and then another hurdle with the lead leg and then pause and then go back. Hurdle, lead leg, and back. Again, really good for hip mobility, really good for body awareness. Great for balance and coordination. The next drill is called over, over, back, back. And here, Jenny's going to take a hurdle with the lead leg and then take the next hurdle with the lead leg stop, and go back 1 hurdle. A great drill for balance, coordination, body awareness, and hip mobility. Our next drill is called lead leg over and under. Notice that every other hurdle has been put up about 3 to 6 inches. Our next drill are called zigzags. They look like this. A great drill for balance, abductor and adductor flexibility, coordination. Okay. Our last drill over the hurdles will be called continuous lead leg, and it's a great drill for balance and coordination. The next area we're going to address are some strength areas that will help us in the high jump. And the first one we're going to do are called sumos. And here Jenny's going to take a position where her toes are pointed out, her feet are slightly wider than shoulder width apart, and it looks like this. Nice tall chest. Notice that her knee is staying behind both toes on both legs. Those are called sumos. Now we're going to use a physio ball, and we're going to continue to work the glute area, and Jenny will point to the area on her glute that it will work on this drill, and these are called glutes up. Again, we're going to continue to work the glute area, and Jenny has her thumb on the point that you will feel this working. These are called glute fire hydrants. Notice that her foot stays above her knee. And she would work both sides. The next drill Jenny's going to do are called Russian leg lifts. So Jenny's going to form a table with her body and raise one leg up and go almost up to chest level. Then she'll do the other leg. All across the United States, we have people doing sit-ups and fitness centers and physical education classes. And what we're finding is that they're doing hip flexor ups instead of sit-ups. And so what we're going to do here is we're going to have Jenny assume this position, and we have a nice little angle here to work with. And what we're going to do is we're going to turn off this area right here that Jenny's pointing at by pressing the toes into the fence and lifting the heels off. That will deactivate her hip flexors and put all of the work on her abdominal area. So correct sit-ups look like this. So before you have your athletes do these, try these at home and you will see how you've completely deactivated the hip flexors and put all of the work on the abdominal muscles. Our next drill are called Supermans. They look like this. Good. Now we're going to go back to the physio ball again, and we're going to do what are called big ball knee ups. They look like this. The next drill, again, is with the physio ball. We're going to do big ball leg circles. Okay. Okay, now we're going to move into some high jump drills. And the first drill we're going to start off with is called pop-ups. The next drill we're going to do are circle runs and circle gallops. To determine the circumference of our circle, what we're going to do is realize with Jenny that she is 14 feet out from the standard straight out to here where she's going to put her out mark. So what we're going to do is we're going to take that 14 feet, we're going to move it into the middle of our circle and then draw out 14 feet of cones all the way around. And that will be our circle that we'll use in this next drill. So if you were 15 feet out, you're going to go out 15 feet and all the way around 16 and so on. Jenny right here on this white line is going to show you what single tracking looks like. Notice she's going straight down the white line. That's what we want her to do. She's going to go back. She's going to show you what double tracking looks like, which is what you would see with a sprinter. And on double tracking, you're not going straight down the white line. So she's going to draw in her head a white line around those cones that she will single track off of. Okay, here we go, circle runs. Notice her inward lean. Okay, and very good. Our next drill, we're going to use our same circle that we've drawn out, and we're going to do what's called circle gallops. They look like this. The next drill are called consistent approach runs. And here Jenny has taken her J and she's laid it out straight, and her approach right now is 58 feet 8 inches. So what she's going to try to do, Jenny, if you would point to your takeoff foot, her takeoff foot is near us, it's the right foot, and it should come fairly close to that cone. If she's not, we're going to give her 2 opportunities, and if she's not right on, then she would make adjustments back at the 58.8 mark. Go ahead, Jenny. And she was pretty close on her first time. You'll notice that she came out of the back slow, so her rhythm in her approach would be slow to fast. Now, the nice thing about these consistent approach runs is it teaches the athlete to make some adjustments, because they're not always going to get a day like today where there's no wind. They may have wind, they may have rain conditions, sometimes it's warm, sometimes it's hot, and they need to come out and be able to make the needed adjustments to make their approach correct. So here Jenny's going to take another shot at it. She was a little bit short on the last one. The next drill we're going to do is called a hamstring over and back. And here, Jenny is working on her lower and upper back flexibility. Okay, the next drill are called ramp down pops. And here Jenny's going to be going down a ramp, looks like an aluminum ramp, and she's going to be really active with her feet and really pop off the ground. And it looks like this. Okay, good. Our next drill is called ramp up pops. This time we're going up the ramp instead of down the ramp. Notice here, we're going to have Jenny come back and do that again. Notice how low she's keeping her heels. She's not raising her leg up and trying to drive it into the ground. We're going to simulate a high jump takeoff. Good. The next thing we're going to talk about are the 4 phases of high jumping. The approach, takeoff, bar clearance, and landing. So let's start right now with the approach. Okay, our first area is the approach. And so what we want to do here is we want to design an approach for Jenny that will optimize her athletic ability. And so what Jenny has found out is that she is about 14 feet straight out from the standard. So we're going to go ahead and measure out 14 feet on the inside of the standard. And then Jenny is going to place a little strip of tape down, which will then give me a mark. I'm going to go out to the 14-foot mark, and then Jenny is going to go straight out this direction, 58 feet 8 inches for her. Now, she may make adjustments depending on the weather and the wind, the surface that she's taking off from, etc. Here at this facility, you'll notice that Jenny is starting off of field turf, and she's transitioning from field turf onto the tartan surface. I've oftentimes been to track and field meets, and I've watched these measuring tapes come out, and they're going at all these different angles, and sometimes keeping it really simple for the athletes is the way to go. She's going to practice her approach several times at the meet, checking to see if the weather conditions have affected her at all, or how fast the surface is. But sometimes I think we can make it so technical, measuring different angles here and there, that keeping it really simple works just fine. So that is her mark. She is 14 feet out. She is 58 feet 8 inches back. And so what I'm going to have Jenny do here is I'm going to have her go ahead and take a 10-step approach up to the bar and just kind of pop up into the pits. You'll notice that she's going to go from slow to fast. Thank you, Jenny. That is a 10-step approach. Again, for her from 58 feet 9 inches. And we'll talk in a couple minutes about where we want her to take off from. We want her approach to be consistent. Again, we want it to be from slow to fast. So there's 3 areas we focused on here. First is her 10-step approach. Second is her consistency. And third is going from slow to fast. So that's her approach. Okay, the second phase of the high jumping is the takeoff. So here, Jenny's going to come in and show you what her takeoff point would be. So go ahead, Jenny, and she's going to plant through the pit. So Jenny, if you'd point the direction of your foot, and Jenny, if you wouldn't mind, show what a lot of athletes do where they plant parallel to the bar and how that can be dangerous by rolling that ankle or trying to turn prematurely. So she's going to plant through the pit. She's going to be arm's length away from the standard and bar. So there's her takeoff. And Jenny, if you could show them what some athletes do where they plant too close to the bar, and they also will plant too far away from the bar. And then sometimes they'll plant toward the middle of the bar, and they end up actually jumping all the way over the pit, and they miss the pit. And that happens a lot with younger high jumpers. So again, let's review the 2 things that we've talked about so far. We're planting through the pit, arm's length away from the bar and standard, and she's going to have a really short last step. Let's have her go ahead and take a really long step, and let's see what happens when she takes that long last step. She's going to dive right up over into the bar. The third phase is bar clearance. And for demonstration purposes, I've put Jenny into the pits. And what she's going to do is she's going to show you the position she's going to be going over the bar. Notice she has her knees apart and her heels together. And notice that she's not arching her back. She's actually lifting her hips. So if you can imagine the bar under her right there, that's the position she's going to be in going over the bar. So you can see here, there's virtually no arch of the back, but there is a lift of the hips. Okay, now again, in reviewing bar clearance, notice that Jenny has her knees apart and her hips lifted and her heels together. Once her hips are over the bar, what she's going to do is tuck her chin and her feet will lift up over the bar. So it looks like this from the pit. Okay, thank you, Jenny. The fourth and final phase of the high jump is the landing. And here we want Jenny to actually land on her shoulders. So she's just going to kind of do a drop back into the pit and show you. So Jenny, if you could go into the pit and actually lay on the part that you would want them to land on. Okay, you can see her shoulders that she's pointing to. That's where we want her to land. The next area we're going to look at are common errors in the high jump. The first one we're going to look at is an inconsistent approach. Now, as we talked about earlier, we want to come out of the back slow and build to fast. And here you're going to watch Jenny almost be out of control in her approach. It won't be consistent. It may bring a lot of speed into the bar, but there's no consistency. Now Jenny's going to go back to her approach, and this time she's really going to focus on having a consistent 10-step approach to the bar, going from slow to fast. Oftentimes our athletes will be so concerned about going fast to the bar that their approach breaks down, and your approach in the high jump is about 90% of your jump. The next common error we see is cutting to the bar. Now, Jenny will begin to make her turn on her J on her fifth step. But here, she's going to take the J away and she's going to literally cut on the fifth step straight to the bar. So instead of having a J, you have two straight lines. Okay, on the last one, Jenny again didn't stay in her J, she actually cut and went straight to the bar. Now she's going to return to a good consistent approach and stay in her J. The next common error we often see is a long last step. We want our second to the last step, our penultimate step being a little bit longer and our last step shorter. And here you're going to see Jenny take a huge long last step. Once they take that long last step, it just kills everything. You saw Jenny on that last approach take that long last step. And so now she's going to correct it and reinsert that short last step. And you'll notice she got a nice little pop-up off the ground. Outstanding. The next common error is called stepping in the bucket. And as Jenny comes into the bar, oftentimes you'll see her left foot step out away from the pits, and then she steps back in on her approach. So you have forces going two different directions. And what she did there, she got off of her J. And so it's going to kill any vertical lift in her jump. Thank you, Jenny. The next common error is diving into the bar. And what often happens here is you'll have kids that'll come in on their approach, and Jenny, if you could show them, is they'll come in and take off, and they'll drop their inside shoulder to the bar, and all of their momentum is going to drop straight into the bar. And that's called diving into the bar. So what she's going to focus on there on that short last step is keeping her inside shoulder up, her shoulder away from the bar down. So inside shoulder up will do a great job of keeping your athletes from diving into the bar. The next common error is where you'll have an athlete that will take off instead of arm's length away from the bar and standard, they'll take off too far away from the bar. So they get way away from the bar. And the other mistake they'll make, and this is even more common, especially with your younger middle school and early high school athletes, they'll take off too close to the bar because they want to get to the pits. And so they're going to hit that bar going up, and they'll never clear it if they're that close to the bar. So again, show them, Jenny, about where they should be taking off from. And again, plant through the pit. Okay? The last common error is that the athlete isn't warmed up enough for the competition. So when the athlete arrives on competition day, they need to kind of check out the weather, see how things are. If it's a really cool day, they need to spend a little bit more time warming up. So you may have athletes say to you, boy, I just didn't seem like I was really in the groove until about halfway through the competition. That's probably a really good sign that they weren't warmed up for the competition. So be sure they spend about 20-30 minutes on competition day getting nice and warmed up for their competition. And if they're sitting around and waiting for the bar to go up, make sure they know about when they should start their warm-up so they can re-enter the competition at the height that they've decided to go in at. Now we're going to move into some drills with that high jump bar. And the first one we're going to do I really like. It's called kickoffs. And what Jenny's going to do is she's going to run and kick it off with her drive leg. And the thing I like about this drill is it keeps the athlete nice and tall and they won't dive into the bar. So right now we have the bar at 6'8". I'm going to have Jenny come in at 5 steps and do a kickoff. Perfect. The next drill we're going to do are called knee ups. And what Jenny's going to do is take a 5-step approach and she's going to try to drive her knee up and knee the bar off. Excellent. The next drill I like because it's a lot like the kickoffs in that it has the athletes stay nice and tall and they will oscillate at the hips and rotate their shoulders so that they're perpendicular to the bar. And these are called scissors. The next drill we're going to do is called a 3-step. And so Jenny's going to work on the last 3 steps of her jump. There we go. Good one. Our next drill is a 5-step drill. So now Jenny's moved back from a 3 to a 5, and you can see that she's facing straight ahead. At this point in her run, she's going to begin to oscillate her hips and turn her shoulders so that her shoulders will eventually be perpendicular to the bar at takeoff. The next drill we're going to do are box back jumps. And again, you can determine the height of the box or device that you're going to go off of. But what Jenny's doing here is she's giving herself a chance to work on her bar clearance. And if you remember on the bar clearance, she's going to be feet together, knees apart. Once her hips clear the bar, or excuse me, are on top of the bar, she's going to tuck her chin and it'll flip her feet up. Perfect. Our next drill are called box side jumps, and Jenny's going to demonstrate. Okay, Jenny, on that specific drill right there, what exactly are you trying to do with your shoulders and why?
Well, what you're trying to do is get your shoulders to rotate over the bar, because when you go over the bar, it helps clear your hips so that your trail leg can get over the bar.
So what you're saying is that if someone doesn't completely unwind on the bar, that they're actually going to probably drag it off with that ankle on your side coming in.
On my side, it'll drag right there if you don't unwind.
Okay, great. Let's have you do one more. Right here what we're doing is we're using a mini tramp to kind of give Jenny a chance to get up into the air and practice everything regarding bar clearance. Mini tramps work really nice. This one has a real nice safety strap around the outside so the athlete doesn't step their foot down into it. We often use a springboard, and those are used in gymnastics. And for Jenny coming in from this side, I recommend that you put the springboard this way and hit your foot up on top. If you put the springboard this way as she's coming in, she'll have a tendency to try to reach for the top of the springboard and get a long last step. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to have Jenny come back right now and do a 5-step jump off the mini tramp. And what she's going to do here is try to put the whole picture together as far as bar clearance. So Jenny, let's come on over and do a 5-step off the tramp. Now we're going to let Jenny take some full approaches, but let's go to her 25-foot mark where she's going to begin her turn. And what I'd like her to do is show you how she's going to stay inside of her J when she hits that mark. So notice that she's going to stay on the J as she comes in. And Jenny, if you could show them what kids will often do. They'll hit that mark and then they'll beeline straight to the bar. Okay, and again, that takes them out of their J, and they don't use the centrifugal forces that help here in the high jump. So what we're going to do is take her back to her mark at 58 feet 8 inches that she determined today, and we're going to let her take a few jumps, and then her and I will dialogue a little bit about some things that we see kids doing and some things that she's working on that possibly your athletes are having some problems with. Excellent. Okay, Jenny, you've jumped at the high school level and the college level at the University of Oregon. And right now you're working toward the 2012 Olympics. What are some of the things that you're trying to work out in your technique that you see a lot of athletes having problems with?
Well, one of the major things is having a short last step, especially when you're controlling your approach on the last 3, boom, boom, boom. When I'm working on here, on this last one, I really want to make it so that it's tucked under me so that I can go straight up and not dive into the bar. So keeping my shoulders away from the bar and keeping that last step short so my knee can drive up and not go into it.
And Jenny, on your approach, what are some things that you see athletes struggle with or things that you're having problem with your approach in general?
Well, a lot of times what I see is people cutting directly to the bar is a very large one. And another one is keeping that controlled rhythm throughout the approach and being able to do those last 3 steps to set them up to be able to jump and use their full height.
So what you're saying then is that athletes really need to use their first 7 steps to get to their last 3.
Correct.
And then what about outside of track itself, actual high jumping? What are some things you do nutritionally and in your sleep that help your performance?
Well, nutrition is a huge component of any type of sport. And if you are able to eat your 5 to 6 meals a day and you're able to go to bed about the same time every night and wake up at the same time every night, it gives you the energy that you need to be able to perform at your best.
So what you're saying is that they should go to bed at approximately the same time and get up in the morning at approximately the same time.
Correct, because that keeps their body balanced.
And what about mentally? What do you do to prepare for meets?
Do a lot of visualization, what it's going to be like with the weather, with the surface, how your approach is going to look, run through it all in your head visually, be able to do some kind of relaxation the night before and even right before your event.
Do you watch a lot of video of other world-class jumpers?
Absolutely.
Are there any jumpers that you kind of model your technique after?
I like Tia Hellebutt, and I also look at Blanka Vlasic. She's the world leader right now.
And what is your ultimate goal?
6'4".
6'4". Well, best of luck and thank you so much for helping today.
Thank you.
Another important component of your high jump training is time spent in the weight room. And you want to make sure that you lift about every 3 days or 72 hours. And always safety is top priority, so be sure you check your weight room, make sure your athlete has a fitting weight belt on if they're doing certain lifts. So let's go ahead and start, and we're going to start with Jenny lifting 3 reps doing cleans. So Jenny, go ahead. Sometimes with your athletes, they'll want to just pile the weights on so that they're lifting a lot of weight. But remember, the high jump is a really speed and quick event. So you want to be moving that weight quickly, and the amount of weight really doesn't matter. You need to lift what that athlete needs to perform at a maximal level in the high jump. The next lift we're going to do is about a half squat. And so we have Jenny in the squat rack as a protection so that she does lose her balance. The safety rack will help her out. So here we go with half squats. Notice as she's keeping her chest and chin up. Okay, she's going to walk it back and re-rack it. Okay, our next lift is single leg squats. And here, Jenny will have one leg on the ground there and one of her legs up on the bench. And the key here is to make sure that front leg, as she drops down, that this knee doesn't go in front of the toe here. Okay, so the knee should stay behind the toe as she drops down. So here's what it looks like on single leg squats. Again, we're in a safety rack. She's going to bring up one of her legs up on the bench, adjust her front leg, and then she'll switch over to the other leg. Okay, very good, Jenny. Go ahead and rack it up. Okay, our next lift is ABCs, and this is a really good lift for the upper body, and it's a really good stabilizer as she has to stabilize the core of her body as she draws the alphabet. Here's ABCs. Our next lift will be the same type of lift, same weight, except this time we're going to have her do circles counterclockwise and clockwise. Again, a great stabilizer of the body. Okay, our next lift are good mornings. And in this lift, Jenny has the bar on her back. She's going to have her feet slightly wider than shoulder width apart, and she's going to have her knees bent, and it will look as if you were saying good morning to someone. Here we go. Oftentimes we do a great job of working the front of our body and conditioning it, but we forget about the back so that we can balance out our body. So here we're going to have Jenny do some seated rows to work this area right through here in her back. So go ahead, Jenny. All too often we are so fixated on developing the quadriceps, and we really do a great job in this country of developing the quadriceps, but we forget about the importance of the hamstrings. And sometimes at takeoff, we may do a hyperextension of the knee because the hamstring isn't strong enough to support that area. And so what we're going to do here is a lift to work on the hamstring area. So go ahead, and Jenny. Another area that's very important is the lower back leg. And here what we're going to have Jenny do is 3 variations of calf raisers. One's with her toes straight ahead, her toes in, and then her toes out. Notice she's getting complete extension on these. Now she's going toes in. And now she's going to go toes out. Now that we've moved from the standing calf machine, we're going to move to a seated toe press. And so we're going to do the same thing. We're going to go straight ahead, then we're going to go toes in and toes out. And here's what this lift looks like. 5. Now she's going to go toes in. And then she's going to go toes out. Now you'll notice that I haven't said how many sets or reps to do. And that's going to be what you as a coach decide for your athletes depending on the time of the season in your training cycle. What we usually do is we end with some big ball flexibility, and so we're going to grab a physio ball, and Jenny's going to show you something that she does to kind of loosen up her back a little bit. So here are some lifts, hopefully that will help your high jumper out. And remember, more weight will not make a better high jumper. Our first post-stretching, assisted stretching drill that we're going to do are going to be called knee-ups or knee-ins. And here I'm going to assume a position where I'm going to press Jenny's knee in with her foot on my chest, and then she's going to press back. And we'll go through this 3 different times. Normally I can take her a little bit further each time. Then I'll go over to the other leg. I'll do the same thing on this side. Go. 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 Then I'm going to go back to the other leg and we're going to do straight leg assisted stretching. So we're going to make sure that her leg is completely locked out and she's going to press against me. I'm going to give her some guided resistance. Then I'm going to take her up a little bit further. Take her up a little bit further on the third one. Okay, and then I'll rotate over to the other leg. I'll do the same thing. Again, I'm just giving her passive resistance. And then the final one will be a bent leg stretch. I'm going to use my body weight to give her some passive resistance. Okay, then I'll work back over to the other leg. The next one we're going to do are called knee out pushes. And here I'm going to lock Jenny's foot in to the side. I'm going to keep a little pressure on this side so that she doesn't roll toward her knee. I'm going to press down on the knee, and then she's going to push on my foot. She's going to feel a nice stretch right through here. Go. Each time she goes, I'll push down just a little bit further with the hand that has my watch on it. Go. Okay, and then we'll rotate over to the other side after doing 3. Hold this area down and stabilize it so it doesn't rock over. Press down on this knee, and then she'll push my foot. Again, you're going to feel it right through this area here. Go. And relax. Then Jenny's going to roll over onto her stomach. She's going to bring one knee into her other knee. And here what she's going to do is put them side by side, foot on knee. Then what I'm going to do is take the butt of my hand, press into her glutes, and push down. Okay, then we'll go to the other side and do the same thing. Okay, lock the foot against the knee, press the butt of the hand into the middle of the glute, and press down. Massage is an often overlooked rehab technique that will really help your athletes out. Today I'm going to show you some work down in the area of the knee down into the foot, and this is going to really help in rehab. So the first thing I'm going to have Jenny do is roll over on her tummy on the high jump mats. And what I'm going to do here is I would use some lotion, and I'm going to start at the base down in the Achilles area, and I'm going to run my thumbs up and kind of split the gastroc. Okay, and I do both legs on that. The second area that I would work on, Jenny, if you could roll over, is I'm going to work along the tibia bone. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to go to the inside of the tibia bone here, and I'm going to work down again with some lotion right down under the tibia bone, up and down the leg. And what you may end up feeling is you may feel what looks or feels like you're popping bubble wrap. And what that is, that's some muscle tissue sticking together, and you're going to break that apart. Okay, so we'll work both shins up and down, and then I'm going to have Jenny roll back over again. And the last thing that I would have her do is I'm going to work her foot, and the athletes really enjoy this, and it helps them a lot. I'm going to dorsiflex her foot against my chest, and then what I'm going to do is I'm going to put some lotion on the base of her foot and do massage up through this tendon that runs here. I'm going to run down both sides of that tendon. And loosen up the Achilles a little bit. I like to work right at the base of the heel. And what your athletes will tell you once you do this massage work on the foot and they stand back up, it just almost feels like they have super feet again. So they really, really enjoy having the foot massaged. And again, you'll probably in the foot area, you'll feel what feels like little rice, little tiny rice that you're breaking apart, pieces of rice. And so again, you'd work both feet on that. So what we did is we started with the knee up assisted stretching, and we ended with some massage work. And that would be some of the things that you would want to do at the end of your practice as you're concluding it and preparing the body for rest. I hope some of the things that I've gone through today will help your high jumpers. Again, take some of those active warm-up drills that we gave you, take a few a day and do. A lot of the mobility things that we did, the hurdle things, select a few of those out and do those. And then again, keep it really simple. High jump is simple. Break it down for your athletes and help them out. I'd like to thank Pacific Grove High School for allowing us to use their facilities. I'd like to wish their athletes the best of luck and your athletes the best of luck. Have them jump high. They can do it.